Go ahead.
Welcome to Look Around Florida. Sean will be up next.
Welcome to Look Around Florida. Uh, I'm your host, Sean McFall, aka the Florida Man. How you like my background picture? I thought it was pretty cool. Found that on Florida memes. Uh, if you guys are looking for Florida memes, please check out their page. It's on Facebook. Let me get this out of the way. This way, it saves me and my guest any headaches down the road. That way, we don't get phone calls. Uh, Roddy, what up, brother? Our brother from another mother. Good to see you, sir. Hey, Linda. Hey, Roy. Good to see both of you. So Keith's in the back. I put Keith in timeout right now. Uh, we're gonna get as more and more people join. Hey, Beth. As more and more people join, we're gonna start talking about upcoming events in the Florida division. Then we're gonna bring Keith up, and we're gonna talk about his Confederate ancestors and how he's searching for some more. Hey, TJ. Hey, buddy. Stonewall Jackson Camp in the house from Facebook. From YouTube. Welcome, guys. Is that you, Bobby? Stonewall Jackson Camp, 1381. Welcome. So we got quite a bit of stuff to talk about tonight. Before we bring Keith up, let me get to. Yep. Hey, brother. Good to see you. All right. The newsletter. Well, okay, that's the lead Jackson. Okay, here we go. I had to track it down. It was in the email chain to the camp commander for the J.J. Dickerson camp out of Melbourne, Florida. He goes, we are having a ceremony on Sunday, the April the 28th, starting promptly at 2 p.m. It will be at the old Melbourne Cemetery. It is listed on the right top. Oh, yeah, they're doing their Confederate Memorial Service on April the 28th at 2 p.m. at the old Melbourne Cemetery. If you need any additional information about that, Linda and Roy Hudson are in the chat, or you can give Steve Smith a shout out. So, hey, David, hey, Jeffro, good to see you guys. So, with that, what else? Oh, yeah. We got the Florida Division reunion coming up. Get your registrations in. It is June 1st. Our division commander did say, Calvin Hart did say, he does have a special gift for us again. I don't know what it is, so looking forward to that. That is June 1st. Keep in mind, we need all the somebody representing all the camps in the division at that one, because it is an election year. Alrighty, Saturday, March the 23rd, at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at DeSoto County Turner Ag Center. They're doing their Arcadia American Legion is sponsoring an antique tractor hit and miss engine and car show. My camp will have a booth there. The Arcadia camp will have a booth there. Doing a recruitment drive. So if you need some more information on that, please let me know. Hey, Bobby. Hey, John. Wow, we got somebody from Detroit, Michigan camp in the chat, guys. Wow. We got the Florida Division chaplain in the chat, Kim Hofecker. And I know it's going to be interesting with our guest and a lot of people from Camp 1209 tonight. So, besides that, guys, on March the 23rd, it is the final year. Hate to say it, the final year for the Battle of Narcoossee. Go check it out. That camp is doing an awesome job preparing everything, get everything in order. It's for the reenactment of the Battle of Narcoossee Mills. Here's the flyer, guys. March 25th and the 26th. That's the weekend after the 23rd. Oh, wrong flyer. I just looked at that. Yes, I know I'm somewhat mentally challenged tonight. Oh man, we got the big dog himself in the chat, our Commander-in-Chief, Jason Boshears. Welcome, sir. Keith, I hope you're ready. You got a big audience. So with all that, we got some cool events. I did speak to our Florida Division Adjutant, Rick Roberts, just a little bit ago. He has something cool that he wants to do at the Florida Division reunion this year. Let me bring the information up again. We are looking to honor the Florida Division real grandsons this year with the reunion program. We are asking all camp commanders and adjutants, please email the division adjutant if you have a real grandson in your camp. Let us know who they are, just so we don't miss anyone. We are asking all camps to report in. So even if you don't have a real grandson, please let our division adjutant know. Our division adjutant don't want to miss any of our real grandsons. So if you're a camp commander or a camp adjutant, please check your emails. You did get an email. I seen it today from our division adjutant. If you don't have a real grandson, let them know that. If you do, definitely let them know. So please check your emails, camp commanders and adjutants. With that being said, we're bringing up Keith. Get ready, guys. Keith, how you doing today?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. How's everybody doing out there?
Yeah, I can't complain. I don't know about anybody else. Hey, Ryan from the Alabama division. Wow.
Oh, we got Alabama and Detroit. Did I hear you say?
Yeah. Yeah, we got quite a bit of people throughout the division. Hey, Bobby Van Zandt from the St. Pete camp.
Hey, Bobby.
We got your brother from another mother, Kim Hofecker, in the chat.
I heard you mention him, and God knows what he's done to me. I just hope he said a good prayer for me tonight. Try to get me through this. It's bad enough that having my brothers from the 1209 in there from Kirby Smith, but now I got the big dog himself, the Commander-in-Chief.
I know.
So I guess I got to behave and be good tonight.
Well, that's the thing. I'm sure he doesn't have his thing on and acting like the Commander-in-Chief. He's just here to enjoy himself and see what we're up to tonight.
Well, I will say this. A big shout out before you know this, and a lot of my brothers from Trevor and I'm just coming off a year of being part of the SCV, so I feel like I'm coming off of probation. So I feel like I've achieved enough there. But I will say that my first Lee Jackson dinner with the Sons of Confederate Veterans and also with Kirby Smith, I had the pleasure of listening to Jason talk last year, and then this year had Carl Jones. So I've been blessed in many ways.
That's good. You enjoying yourself so far for your first year?
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's I've been fortunate enough again, being located where I'm at and having the pleasure of working with our chaplain Kim Hoffecker. And we're both retired law enforcement here in Jacksonville. He was definitely instrumental in getting me pointed in the right direction and getting me in contact with the people that I needed to get in contact with to verify my heritage and my track of my ancestors. And
Yeah.
I can't say enough about him or Rick Roberts or anybody else within the organization, and especially you for doing what you do and getting the message out.
Yep. Yeah. Like I've said before, it was an idea that I had. I ran it up to David King, our Southwest Region Lieutenant Commander, and he goes, "Hey, you got to talk to Calvin." I'm like, who's Calvin? And it went from there.
well, I don't want you and I to feel like Victor sometimes and make the list. So I don't want to put you in Facebook jail tonight. So
I was already there.
Oh, I know, but
I think everybody in the chat was too.
I saw that. We may be going for a felony instead of a misdemeanor, but we'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah, let it roll.
Uh,
So what got you to look? What kind of stuff did you find on your Confederate ancestor, and how you related to them?
Well, I'll start this. Those who don't know me, I'm Keith Geiger. I was born and raised here in Jacksonville, Florida. Been here, many decades, and I remember growing up and hearing my dad talk about how we had an ancestor that fought at Ocean Pond, or Lusty, as some people understand it. But as most kids, not even today, but even back in the 70s, I wish I would have listened more to Dad about the family. Didn't pay 2 cents to it. But then as I got older and had a family of my own, my daughter became interested in the family history, but we started digging a lot more on my mom's side, on the Pittman side. But then she asked the question, well, Dad, you mentioned one time that Papa Stanley talked about the ancestor from Ocean Pond. Once I got in talking to Kim, and when he put me in contact with our adjutant, Rick Roberts, come to find out that my great-great-grandfather not only was born here in Florida, but also fought at Ocean Pond and was wounded. And so that kind of gives me a little more of a bloodline, if you would, dealing with the history of the war between the states, especially dealing with Florida within itself.
That's cool.
So it's it turns out that with him, with James Geiger is his name. He was born in August of 1823. I've seen things or readings where he was born in Georgia, but I've also seen things to where he was born in Florida. So I'm going to go back to him being born in Florida, which will make me somewhere around a sixth generation Floridian. And he was from Hamilton County, which is out there just northwest of White Springs. Again,
Okay.
he was born in 1823, and from the muster cards that I've were able to get from Rick, he joined the Confederacy early of 1863 around Lake City area.
Wow.
I've got some cards showing to where as of March in 63, he was on detail as driving cattle. So I don't know if he was part of the cow cavalry. I don't know if they came that far far north, but I can put him as far as that was his detailed. And then I can also put him at what's known as Camp Finnegan around June of 63, which, you know, for those that know the history of Ocean Pond, when the Union came back in February of 64, they overran Camp Finnegan, which is about 10 miles west of Jacksonville, before heading on out to Baldwin and then eventually towards Lake City, where inevitable the battle took place in February. So it's just neat to go through and find those cards with that information on there.
What was his last name again? Was the same as yours?
It was Geiger, Geiger, which is the spelling on his muster's card.
Okay.
With his first name being James, and he was when he joined, he was in the Company F of the 9th Battalion or 9th Regiment of Florida. But looking at the cards and some of the other information that I have, that by time of the battle, the 9th had become or was added to the 6th Battalion of Florida.
Okay.
But on his headstone, it has him as the 9th, but on his last cards that I have, as far as him being wounded at Ocean Pond, they have him in the 6th Florida Battalion, which is see how the battalions change. I guess probably because of manpower.
You said his first name was James, right?
James, yes.
Okay. I want to show you something that I just found.
Ah, okay.
And I sent this to you. I think it was like last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you sent me a couple things on individual with the same last name.
Yeah, this is James Gruger. Company, I think it's F with the 9th Florida Infantry. Does that sound about right?
Well, he was. Now my screen's a little small. Now,
I know.
But if it's Geiger, that would be him. That would be one of his first cards, if I'm looking at my paperwork correctly.
Yeah, and looking at the mustard sheet that I found, it looks like the spelling looks like that.
Yeah, if it's GEI, that's a whole nother story when we talk about the pronunciation and the spelling of Geiger. Because I can put my direct descendants coming over from Switzerland in the mid 1600s.
Okay.
And the spelling at that time was GYGER. And the Y would have had the sound of like a short I believe, like an it. So it would have been more of a gigger sound, if you would.
Okay.
But somewhere along the line with the spelling of the land grants at the time, because I can put one of my great grandfathers coming in through Charlestown before heading south into Georgia and whatnot. And sometime in between them coming down into Georgia is when the pronunciation and the spelling of the name changed.
Yeah, that's the same with my family. You know, it's MCFAL. Some have an S, and some spell it MCPHAIL.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all about the pronunciation, but it's all part of the same clan out of Ireland.
Okay.
Which,
wow.
Scotland, Ireland, and all over the south and the eastern side of the country.
Right, and that's what makes it interesting. I got a history lesson, if you would, one time by older gentleman. This is probably 15, 20 years ago. As a young officer, I was handling a complaint and introduced myself as Officer Geiger. What can I do for you? He kind of looked at me and goes, Geiger, huh? He goes, I guess you must have been part of the ones that moved to town. And I kind of looked at him with a funny look, and he proceeded to tell me that my name was pronounced Geiger, but the ones that moved to Jacksonville changed the name to Geiger.
Okay.
So I nodded and said, yes, sir, and tried to be as polite as I could and went on about it. But I've always known it to be pronounced Geiger with an EI, which from what I understand from some of the German pronunciation, EI is pronounced with a long I.
Jeffro, to your question, this to your question, now I'm seeing quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no, wrong questions.
This is
Yeah. Now this Jeffro, I'll take a look at the book that the OCR ladies did at a Tampa and see if he's in that book.
okay.
So
I know that the on the wall out at White Springs on their flag site off of I-75,
yeah,
I have come across his name on that wall.
but you so you haven't seen what the early camp did with the traveling wall yet?
No, I have not. No, that was one thing that I was hoping to get with Ronnie Nichols about with our camp or buying my time and catching up with Jeffro at Division and see if I can get a hold of one of the copies.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm sure Jeffro's mentioned it to Kathy King and Donna McPherson and all those ladies to bring books, those books that they did to Division Reunion.
Okay.
So I'll make sure either me or Jeffro will make sure you get a copy, Keith.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you. But it was just, it's just interesting finding everything that I did about him and Rick Roberts made a comment while we were at Olesta. I was talking to somebody else out there about my grandfather, about why he stayed in the North Florida area like he did, and Rick may mention that the individuals that were older. Now you got to remember, by the time he joined, he was in his 40s, early 40s.
Oh, okay.
40, 41. So they may have just kept him around as home guard, if you would, which would have put him because you think about it, he joined the Army in March of '63 and was wounded at Ocean Pond in February. But looking at his muster cards, he literally went from Lake City almost into Jacksonville, now, Camp Finnegan, but he stayed in the North Florida area. So he didn't travel out of the state as a soldier. He stayed here driving cattle and I guess trying to supply what regiments stayed here in Florida to protect Florida. So I kind of found that interesting that that may be a reason why he stayed home instead of going out of state like some of my other ancestors did.
Right. Because because I have a book here called the Oxcart Trail, and there was a lot of people from your area
Mm-hmm.
that traveled down to which is called Wauchula today.
Okay.
Then from there, Fort Meade area, traveled then down into my area.
Well, and again, going back like we talked about last week, my grandfather ended up going west towards Hamilton, but looking at some of the records, again prior to the Civil War, you got to remember that there was a location known as Barber Plantation that the Union forces went west from Jacksonville as they were going towards Lake City at the time. Now, Barber Plantation no longer exists, but Barber Plantation today is known as McClenny.
Oh, okay.
So that's where Barber plays into it, and again, I found the Geiger name at that time that was spelled Giger, and it was a Joshua. I'm gonna call him Geiger, that came south from Georgia, possibly along that area, um, through what's now Nassau County, Fernandina area,
Mhm.
with a group of people, and Barber was one of them. But that side of Barbers are the ones that decided to settle around the St. Mary's River, forming the Barber Plantation, with the Geiger side, if you would, continuing south on into Jacksonville, Green Cove, and even further south. Um, but the catch-all, and I sent you a picture of a cemetery in Georgia.
Let me bring that up for
If
you.
you have that.
Is that the one with you and your wife in it?
No, well, my wife would thank you. That's my daughter, but that
Oh, okay. Sorry.
no, you're good. You ain't looking. But this particular cemetery here is in South Georgia. It's in Manor, Georgia, which is just west of Waycross, Ware County. What I found interesting about this one is that this is where I have some of my ancestors on the Pittman side buried at. But the name of the cemetery is the Swanee Chapel Church of God of Prophecy, but it's also known as the Pittman Cemetery.
Okay.
But while we were out there looking at and trying to locate some of the graves, I came across the name of Barber. So again, putting together the Barbers coming down from Georgia, along with the Geigers and the Pittman, kind of ties into the Barber Plantation. So it's kind of funny how everybody kind of ended up in that little area of Ware County in South Georgia before coming into Florida.
That's cool.
So just a whole lot of stuff there, and going into my mom's side, there's several of them over there. I can go back to my third great grandfather on my mom's side. But again, looking at his age and the amount of time that he spent in the Confederacy, he mustered in and mustered out a few months later. And I'm only guessing because of his age and whatnot. But I have two ancestors that were uncles on my mom's side, and looking through
Just
my
let me know what picture you want me to show.
um that'll probably be one of the mustard cards, either Noah or Moses. Which was
Was
it?
this?
All right. Well, that's okay. That's
Yeah, that
that's
says
David.
David.
That's the uncle on my dad's side. If you look, it has him listed in the Fourth Georgia Cavalry with Clinch.
Yep.
He stayed in Georgia instead of coming to Florida. Um, I can put part of his regiment at Olustee also, but
Wow.
I don't know if he was at Olustee or if his part of the cavalry stayed in Georgia to help protect Savannah. So, and again, that goes back to the fold three. If
Mhm.
I can find more information about him, and was he at Olustee with his brother James, and if they were together, did they know each other was there?
Right.
Now the other ones that I sent you, was on the Pittman side. That's Noah, I give a quick shout out on my mom's side. Reading the uncles' names on my mom's side is like going through the Old Testament. I've got anywhere from John to Moses to Noah to Abraham. But Noah, when he joined, he went in as a third sergeant, and then shortly went to second sergeant. So he got promoted, kind of quickly. But his big thing is that he got wounded twice during the war before he came back home. One time at Fox's Gap, and then the next time at Cold Harbor, before he pretty much figured out that he had enough of it and he was ready to come home. And then his brother Moses joined the military shortly after he did. And again, I can put him joining the Army in South Georgia around Savannah, but I don't have records of him at any other battle throughout the war, except being killed at Petersburg in '64.
Commander-in-Chief said this. Sounds like South Georgia and North Florida all merged together.
And I'm kind of figuring that they did. Now, a lot of them, as you know, especially ones in Georgia, try to stay around this Savannah area to protect South Georgia. But in early '64, when Finnegan was trying to recruit help from Beauregard, is when Colquitt, came down with his men and some of Clinch's cavalry.
Okay.
Down into Florida to help, and because of Colquitt and them coming south into Florida, before Olustee, was part of the early skirmishes leading up to the Battle of Ocean Pond. But that was in '64.
Right. Now, our commander-in-chief was wondering, I noticed some of the biblical names. Was a minister in the family?
Again, going back to the name of the church.
Yeah.
I don't know to what part they may have played in that church, but knowing the size of the town of Manor, Georgia, it wasn't that big. So I don't know if it was a church named after the Pittmans or they were just very instrumental in doing it. But it's funny how the name of the cemetery is also listed in Find a Grave as the Pittman Cemetery.
Okay.
So I again, that's going off of the in all due respect, the type of religion that it was, because with the Geigers in Hamilton County, the name of that cemetery is the Prospect Primitive Baptist Cemetery. So a lot of the early style religions that were going on, definitely in the South and around the swamps of South Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Did you have anybody from your family tree go into Louisiana that you know of?
That not that I know of, Sean. Not
okay.
That no. And again, the majority of the stuff that I've accumulated is just off of the direct descendants as far as the grandfathers and then their brothers. So what just uncles. I haven't ventured off of that path as far as looking into any cousins or anything.
Okay. No, I'm goofing off on fold 3, trying to help you out with some of your research, and I came across a lot of people with your last name that served with Louisiana units. That's why I'm just
Okay.
curious.
No, and again, nothing that I've come across myself as that I've seen.
Okay.
Looking now, digging through the notes that I have here, see if I can come across anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, because we still have another mustard sheet. Yeah, I think that's the same one. Just okay. Yeah, it's the same one.
But I just find it interesting that from dad's side of the family, how it's mentioned that they came in through Charles Town, and then on my mom's side, has them coming over a little earlier from England and coming through the colony of Virginia and,
Gotcha.
and working themselves south through the Carolinas and around Georgia, up around the Ogeechee River and whatever, and then
You did say South Carolina area, right?
well the Geigers would have come over from Switzerland into Charlestown, so I'm thinking
Okay.
Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay. That yeah, because I just found one that served in South Carolina.
Okay, well let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Cause I can
Oh, thank you, Commander in Chief, for that one.
what's
Uh, do you see that, Keith?
okay, yeah, okay. Early from Mississippi, okay, and fought in the A and V. And I've seen that also, in reference to the Pittmans, but going through my direct descendants, and again only going off of the grandfather's list, if you would, going back to um, grandfather from my mother to grandfather to great grandfather. Um, I haven't put any of them in Mississippi, but again, I haven't branched off too far from the trunk of the tree, if you would. So I don't know if it would be any cousins or what have you.
Uh, Here's this question that came from TJ, Keith.
Okay. No, because I'm too scared to. I've thought about it. I have my reserves about giving up my DNA, although I'm pretty sure there's enough of my DNA left out there that the government has already. But I have not done any DNA testing. No.
Yeah, because I've done it, and it put me in touch with my great grandmother's niece.
Oh wow.
And I talked to some of the family members going up to my great grandmother, and they said, yeah, they kind of remember her, but not really, so to speak.
Right.
So that's a win.
Yeah, I will say this. And I've forgotten the gentleman's first name, but I had the pleasure of meeting him out at Goldhead last month, and I ran into him again at Olusty, and I know he's from the White Springs area, and his last name is Pittman also.
Okay.
When I was showing him the list of my ancestors, he recognized one of my grandmother's names.
Wow.
And speaking to him, his line of Pittmans is from the same area. We knew of the areas that we were talking about when we were talking around the Okefenokee Swamp.
Mm-hmm.
So I dare say that him and I are probably distant cousins, but it was just interesting. And he spells the name Pittman the same as my family did, with two T's.
Cool.
Again, it's just no matter where I go and who I come in contact with, it seems like every time I turn over a leaf, there's a whole new page to look
Yep.
in, start trying to figure out how everything fits together as one big piece of puzzle.
Oh, I know the feeling, Keith, because uh, back in 2000 for me,
Mm-hmm.
I was up, you know, I was at a reenactment in Secessionsville, South Carolina, which
But
is just a hop and a skip away from Charleston, where our national reunion is this year. I had met a distant relative. Uh, and we tied his tree out of South Carolina into my tree, but it went back to Ireland.
okay,
But we tied our trees together, and next thing I know, I'm at a national reunion back in 2000. And he was a direct line of Captain James T. McFall of the Palmetto Sharp. He was the adjutant for the South Carolina Palmetto Sharpshooters Regiment.
very nice, very good. Wow, it's just again, it's just amazing, what information you can come across.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I love about this organization. Especially when somebody asks you, "Where's your family tree from?" and you're sitting there talking with them, like somebody out of the Mississippi division. I'm hoping to meet this year at National Reunion because I want to try tie my tree into his tree.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's the adjutant for the camp that takes care of uh, I'm going to butcher the name because I don't speak French. Benoit Jefferson Davis's last home and library.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be interesting. I mean, that's good for you. And like you and I talked about, last week. It just again, this my venture started with my daughter being very interested in the
Well,
family.
let me get that picture up so
Yeah.
Ebony has an idea who you're talking about.
Oh,
There
there
you
she
go.
is. There she is. And for Ronnie Nichols, yes, she is wearing a Jimmy Buffett T-shirt. Just to let you know. I, I gotta throw that out to the pair of heads.
Now, which one of your relatives is that headstone of?
Now this is James. This is my ancestor that I joined the SCV with, and that I'm a guardian over. He's the one out there in Hamilton County, and and when Rick found him and verified where he was at, it turns out that I had come across his headstone before, just by simple searching.
Yeah.
Um, but she and I went out there, to the cemetery on the very first day. I called her up and said, "Hey, listen, this is what I plan on doing. You want to go?" And she was 100% into it. And while we were out there, I had a picture of it, thinking that okay, we can try to line everything up and try to figure out where he's at. Well, I had walked past the headstone at least twice, and I'm back there in the corner in the older section of it, and I hear her say, "Dad, I found him." And when I turned around, she was kneeling down by his headstone.
Cool.
So it was, a proud dad moment that she had found her third great grandfather.
Oh, I
And
would say that was an awesome feeling too.
so just as a dad, not only that as far as me finding him, but she was the one that found him first. And a tearjerker, if you would.
Yeah.
But she's been out there with me, and I know I've posted some stuff on the division and also on CERT, and I can't thank CERT enough for for the program and the teaching they've given us. But there's some good pictures of the headstone now on CERT with as much cleaning as I've done, and that's a completely different looking headstone than what it was when we found it. But that's when we first found it. Right there, looking at it now. But that's
That's
my
cool.
that's Ashley. So she's she's the next heir in the line of Geigers.
Now, did you have you talked to her or got her interested in joining the UDC or the OCR yet?
I have again, through some of the camp members with Kirby Smith, we're lucky enough to have some of the ladies here, and but with her being in her mid-20s and she recently got married and just starting a career, I know she's interested, but I'm gonna let her make the decision when the time comes. But she is again, she's been very instrumental in putting the family tree back together. So
Oh, Keith, I know you didn't send me this picture, but I found it,
uh,
and
oh God, yeah, all right, that I'm gonna get somebody for that one. That is an ant, if you would.
mhm.
She's out there not too far from James's headstone. There's about 5 or 6 Geigers in the same area. There's great grandfather. There's great grandfather, his son, a couple of sisters, and apparently great grandfather had 2 wives. So and they're buried out there in a row together. And this is one of the last few headstones of the Geigers that we've started cleaning out there within the past year. So this is just the start of it. And again, that looks like after I sprayed it and started cleaning it with a little bit
Yeah,
of
well, this is a different headstone than the one I showed.
yeah, like I said, there's about 5 or 6 different headstones out there that are females, and they would be the aunts or the sisters of James out there. So
Okay.
so this is me just starting to spray just clean water on it from the spray before I start hitting it with Orvis, and then spraying it down again, then finishing up with D2, which I do, and then I leave it, and I go out there probably at least once a month to check on them, just to make sure that the flags that I put up are still up, and that the headstones are nice and clean. And they're I dare say that other than the new ones out there, those are some of the cleanest headstones out there in that cemetery.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Uh-oh.
I don't know that these were done by you or your camp members,
What you got?
but you posted them.
All right, these are some of the ones that are at Old City Cemetery here in Jacksonville. And what I've started doing, these are headstones that are not inside what we consider the Confederate plot at Old City. These are other ones that are spread out through the cemetery,
Okay.
and that I've taken upon myself. That's um, after hitting one with Orvis. And I believe these are some that I did maybe earlier this year when I posted "'Tis the Season." We had a nice warm day here in North Florida that I got out and started hitting and started some early spring cleaning on some of the headstones. But these are some of the smaller stones that are just throughout the cemetery. That's one of the new ones, but you can see how the
liking
liking is getting up. And again, just I go throughout the cemetery at random, picking out headstones that just attract my attention. So
Yeah. I do the same thing at mine. I mean, yeah, I focus on the Confederate ones, but if I see one that's in bad shape, I kind of do the research to see if they have any family members alive. And if
right.
they don't, I go ahead and clean it.
Well, and that's the big thing for us, especially out there at Old City, and with the ties that we have with Old City and what UDC has done for Old City, especially going back to the Confederate plot. Because they're the ones that were able to get a hold of the what's known as the Plot 6 out there that they were able to have the final resting place for the Confederate soldiers and settlers of the old Confederate home on Talleyrand Avenue here in Jacksonville.
Hmm.
And I believe the last Confederate was buried there in that plot around 1938. And with some of the land that was left over is how we were able to, the UDC along with the Confederate veterans were able to put in the grandstand. And
Okay.
then the Kirby Smith camp, the SUV itself, redid it back around probably the mid 1900s, maybe a little later if I remember correctly. But with that at Old City, there's such Confederates out there as General Finnegan himself. So we have several other, maybe over 200 or more Confederate soldiers, not just within the rank and file, but just soldiers themselves that we keep tending to as far as their grave sites to reflect on our heritage and our ancestors.
Now, Keith, this is one you posted back in November.
Mm-hmm.
Now, guys, if you're interested in the CERT program, you can reach out to me if you're in South Florida, Central Florida, Jeffro Cotton. If you want to introduce this program into your camps.
You have a picture of that one cleaned?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
There you go. That's what the CERT program does. That's with the initial cleaning of Orvis, and then I believe that's after the second application of D2, and that's probably about 3 months of letting it be by itself.
Yep. That's what Dottie Meadows was saying when she was on last year. Is after you clean it, you spray it for D2. Keep an eye on it, and if it needs another treatment, give it that one about 6 months down the road. And I've done that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because we have one guy that's in the chat, Lee Norris. I've done it for his ancestor. That's a reverend that's buried in Wauchula.
Okay. But I will say I've done it both ways. I've sprayed D2 on as the last application, and then on one of the gravestones out there in Hamilton, just to see what it would do, I sprayed the headstone down with water with a plastic scraper, try to scrape off some of the thick stuff.
Yeah.
And just coated it, one good heavy coat of D2. And within the first 15, 20 minutes of me just standing there watching it, when they talk about you start seeing those vibrant purples and oranges and
Yep.
all those colors come out of it. It's a sight to see. At first, you're thinking, "Oh my God, what have I done to it?" But then you go back out there a month or so later and realize how good it looks. And like you said, you hit it again and just let D2 work its process.
Oh yeah. I mean, when the CERT program was introduced to me by David King, I fell in love with it. I've literally down here in Southwest Florida, I've gone through myself or with my camp,
But
and we've literally cleaned up quite a bit of headstones.
yeah, that's us. I know TJ himself has put in a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Lake County with one of the grave cemeteries he's come across as far as cleaning and putting in a lot of iron crosses or whatever, and then just the camp as a whole. From time to time, we'll get out at some of our cemeteries here at Old City and also Camp Mooney to definitely clean up if it's not just a cleanup of debris, but definitely getting out there and touching up some headstones and again making them look pretty, knowing that we've been there.
Yeah, because I found this, and I know you were proud of this picture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now that's Granddad's headstone. After that's about what it looks like now. And that was I went back out there with this is shortly after I got my patch, and put up some new flags and decided to put a patch on top of it and send it to CERT just again a way to thank them for giving us the process and the
The
knowledge on
tools.
how to clean
Yep.
these.
Well, Keith, I mean, how many cemeteries do you hit a month?
Well, myself at least one, and that's Old City, because it's close to the house. And like I said, I get out to Hamilton maybe once a month, and then at Camp Mooney, depends on time available and on the camp work days. I'll get out to Camp Mooney, but most of my work is at Old City Cemetery downtown Jacksonville, which is the
Right.
original.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what Kim just said in the chat.
yeah, that's the one because of its location. Um, Not that anything is less of a pride and joy, but to me, Old City is a pride and joy just because of the Confederate plot itself, with the grandstand that's there. It's one of the last few things I dare say, and I don't want to overstep my boundaries, but it's the last stand that we have within the city, within the government that we have now in Jacksonville.
Right.
So, but I do believe that it's in good hands, and with the administration and the supervision that we have here in Jacksonville through Kirby Smith, through Calvin and Rick and Chris Burton and the camp commander and Kim, we're in good hands here in Jacksonville. It's we're gonna stand that line and take the charge to whoever we can.
Yep. Yeah, because uh okay, here we go. I just found the picture that I wanted to get the before picture. Okay. Yeah, because Calvin's remember when Calvin was on a few weeks ago and talk about the statue and all that stuff that they got from the family,
Right. Yeah.
the soldiers monument.
Yes.
Okay, this is at top of that monument that Calvin was talking about, guys. And Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were involved with it, right?
Um,
But
not as
oh,
much as I wanted to. I know Calvin and the guys put a lot of work into it as far as going to a lot of the city council meetings,
yeah,
being the forefront on some town meetings, but being very instrumental, if you would, behind the scenes and working with the Hemming family
oh yeah,
to for us to have the pleasure of taking care of this outstanding monument right here. I,
exactly.
I know the
Now,
other guys, um, with John and a few other that have spent countless hours cleaning it and what have you. But
mhm.
it's definitely a work in progress. But
Now, yeah, because as Keith said, they're cleaning it, getting it ready, and here it is after it's cleaned up.
well, that's the first cleaning, if you would, the initial cleaning.
Oh, okay, it's not the final one. Okay.
Oh no! That's just trying to get the hundred or so years of bird crap off of it, if you would.
Well, the guy can grind.
Yeah, all the dirt, the grime, and everything else. I mean, you got to remember, him being on the pedestal where he belonged over 100 years, in downtown Jacksonville, and that was one of the last surviving things of the Great Fire in 1901 was that statue standing strong.
Oh yeah.
Um, but that's after the first cleaning, and it really looks good. I can't wait to see what it looks like after the second cleaning or so.
I know. I'm waiting for those pictures too, and I know as we get closer and closer to division reunion, Calvin and Rick most likely is going to come on. Well, Keith, we are at a time. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight
Well,
to
thank
talk
you.
about some genealogy, your tree, and your Confederate ancestors. I really appreciate that, sir.
Well, I thank you for our talk that we had, last week, and it's. I was a little hesitant at first, as you know, but pleasure. I'm glad you had me. Thank you very much, and thank you for
Not a problem.
everybody
Eh,
else. And I'm sure I'm going to hear about it tomorrow.
yep. I want to thank you all you chat heads, for your kind words and everything. I do appreciate it. Uh, Keep in mind if you have a camp brigade project coming up, you want to get the word out, let me know. Or you can do like what Keith did. Hit me up. Let me know. I'm always looking for new people to come on the show. And if you just want to talk about your ancestor, hit me up. Now, keep in mind, as we're getting into election year, next Tuesday, I have Tom Wood coming on the show. He is the Tennessee Division Adjutant. He is running for AOT Commander. So he's going to be on the show next Tuesday. Uh, I just have to get with Carl Jones and get him scheduled. He told me we're whatever.
I got to answer one question from Kim real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
No, no, Kim, it's not a pocket on my shirt, but I wish I did have a pocket on here. Inside joke.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of inside jokes out there. Kim, just let me know when you want me to schedule you, sir.
I'll talk to him for you.
Hey, if you can figure out, and some of our older people in the division can figure it out, I think Kim can figure it out.
Well, we got this now. It's all good. All good,
Yeah.
brother. And
Since you went through the process and everything, now you can promote it with Kim.
that I can. That I can.
Or your camp commander, Chris.
Well, either one. Either one. We got.
Why not both?
But thanks again. Thank y'all.
But Keith, like I said, thank you for taking your time out today on coming on the show.
Well, again, my pleasure, and I look forward to seeing most of y'all, if not everyone, at definitely at Division in Trenton coming up.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you and all my brothers and sisters.
Good deal.
So, with that being said, guys, stay Southern, stay out of trouble, and don't forget to ride your pet gator with holding a public sub.
I gotta love that. I do, Sean. I love that.
You got to check out Florida memes on Facebook. I find some good ones all the time.
Give me something to do tomorrow.
Exactly. Ready. Where's my videos? Yep, here we go. Stay out of trouble. I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good night. And here's a video for you all.
Night, y'all.
My name is Nelson W. Winbush. I'm a member of the Jacob Sumner Camp 1516 Sons of Confederate Veterans. My reason for joining the Sons of Confederate Veterans after the NAACP declared they would destroy and remove everything Confederate in 1990, I decided that I would do all I could to make sure that people understood what the Confederacy stood for.
Have a good night.